The Windsor Continuation Group was set up, as you probably know, by the Archbishop of Canterbury to consider sort of unfinished business from the Windsor report, and the process which was set off by that was followed up in the meetings of the primates in Dromontine and then in Dar es Salaam. And we as a group have been meeting a number of times and have met with some other groups too. What we have produced for the conference, we're at pains to say, are our initial observations. These are our preliminary thoughts which we bring to the conference, as it were to test the conference and say, does this ring bells with you? Is this how you see it? And we're really presenting it in three parts. The first part, which is enshrined in the paper that you've got in your possession now, is a slightly fuller version of what I presented on Sunday. And that is really descriptive of where we are. Our part two will be presented at the hearing that there will be tomorrow, and that is, where would we like to get to? And then on the second hearing next Monday, it will be, how might we get to where we want to get to? But these are preliminary observations to spark off, we hope, dialogue and discussion among the bishops in the conference informally as we meet and talk together, because ongoing dialogue is a key to the whole process and is a key to the wholeness of the life of the communion. And that process that I've described started on Sunday, goes on in the two hearings, leads into the meeting of the Indaba groups on the last Saturday. Now, as you can see from the paper that you had, we've tried to be fairly direct in what we've said. We have talked about the severity of the situation. We recognize that it is complex, that there are all sorts of elements at work. There's doctrine, there's ecclesiology, there's culture, there's history, there's political elements even, which weave in and out. We recognize that much has already been undertaken, but that also there seems to be a gap between promise and follow through. Implications of requests and responses have not always been fully thought out. Actions and their consequences have not always been adequately addressed. And then this has led to a breakdown in trust, a feeling of a breakdown in trust. And there's a feeling that there might be a wider agenda around, that people want to question even perhaps the nature of Christ. Basic statements we get in the creeds. The matter of lay presidency has raised its head in some quarters. There's all this sort of larger agenda which half-spoken, perhaps, but which gives an impression that all is not well. Things are rumbling on under the surface. That gives a breakdown of trust. The suspicions about, engendered really by, the GAFCON conference in Jerusalem, the timing of it. I'm not making a value judgment on GAFCON at all. I'm just saying the effect of having those two conferences, close together, and the sadness of some of our brothers and sisters not being here with us, and their absence is a symbol of the division and the pain that we're all feeling in the communion. There is added to that a distrust of the instruments of communion. And all this that I'm describing, the fears and the sense of a breakdown of trust, they're felt through the communion. They're felt by conservatives and they're felt by liberals. Nobody's got a monopoly on pain in this. And there is turmoil in the American church. I think it's unfair to, we would say as a group, to concentrate, wholly on the church in North America. That would be unfair. But we have seen it there with dioceses or parishes accepting alternative oversight. And all this brings about a sort of diminishing sense of communion, impoverishes in what we do. And that has its effect on what we're doing with other churches. Many other churches suffer similar tensions, but it affects our Anglican identity. Now, you might ask why we're bothering with this. The reason we're bothering with this is because we believe in the Anglican communion. We believe that God has called this communion into being, that God is working through it, and that God has a work and a purpose for this communion. We believe that that is very close to the heart and mission of the church, that mission and concern for evangelism, which we're talking about very much in the discussions in this conference. We've heard, quite rightly, phrases used about inclusive communion. We sang in the cathedral, all are welcome. All are welcome. That is not the same as anything goes. We explore unity in diversity. In exploring it, we ask the question, what are the limits? But we believe in this church. There are lots of good things happening. People are being baptized, the scriptures are being read and studied, disciples are being made, the mission is going forward, the poor are being cared for. Some of the big questions are being tackled. We want to be shaped as a communion, the better to tackle those as God's agents in God's world. Thank you.